These are the exact free resources that took me from a complete beginner to running my own production company at 23. Before that though, I'm going to run to my favourite coffee shop, which is about an hour and a half away, but I'll take you with me. Yes, I visited Capello's, my favourite coffee shop in Lim. You're ever up that way, go and visit. Tell them that Jack Shack sent you. I don't know, I'm going to have to message him. If I'm allowed to share my coffee code for the Capello's coffee, then it'll be up here. Another reason I went is because they had new coffee. I've got my free sample here. Right, so let's get into the video. The free software. Now, the free software is a staple of beginners. I've said this before, I started on Windows Movie Maker, which I think you can still get on Windows 11, but the one thing I would recommend is DaVinci Resolve. Now, you might be thinking DaVinci Resolve costs 300 quid, but there is a free version, and the free version is still incredible. It's a pro-grade software, so you've got so many features that are used in films, TV shows. Now, the specific features I use are the color grade tab, the fusion tab, and the main edit page. The main edit page for me, I absolutely love. You can customize the colors. I mean, you can do that in Premiere Pro, but I just kind of prefer it in DaVinci. I prefer the layout, it looks better. Plus, it doesn't crash. That's my main problem with Premiere Pro. I used Premiere Pro for years, and when switching to DaVinci, it was a whole nother ball game. That brings me on to CapCut. Now, you can use CapCut. Please don't be turned away from CapCut, because it can be a brilliant software. It will take as much learning as DaVinci. Probably not as much as DaVinci, because DaVinci has the color grade tab, the fusion page, and Fairlight, so you've got a lot more in that app to learn. However, CapCut can be very powerful if you know what you're doing. Now, I'm going to include a clip of before and after of using both DaVinci and CapCut. Now, bear in mind, CapCut isn't my strong point, so, you know. If you notice the camera change, it's because this G7X overheated, and I don't have all the time in the world tonight because it's the Usyk Dubois fight and I'm going to my mum's for it. 96 to 94. So the next thing that I want to mention is learning channels on YouTube. Now, there's a few big channels that I learned how to edit and about different advice for making YouTube videos. The first one I want to mention is Think Media. Now, Think Media has a lot of camera gear reviews. They have a lot of stuff for new YouTubers. They have a lot of stuff about different videos that you can be using to help produce better quality stuff and a lot of informative videos that will be useful in the long run. The next channel I'd mention is Will Byrne. These are specific tutorials for DaVinci Resolve. He has specific ones for the free version and for the paid version. So if there's something that he's kind of teaching that is on the paid version and it's not available on the free version, then I'm sure if you comment, he'll reply, or someone will reply in those comments saying, this is how you do it. The next one that I want to mention is an OG, Peter McKinnon. If you're learning Premiere Pro, watch the old 2017 Peter McKinnon videos. That's where I learned to edit. I learned through the different things that he taught and the different styles of content he did, because it made me kind of then want to go and edit. I remember I bought my Canon 700D because he used Canon. It was worth it at the time, and it still is worth it, you know. Like I've said before, Ride the Limit thing that's on my Instagram for motorbike racing, that was shot on that Canon 700D using a 70 to 300mm. Now, next up is free assets. You might be thinking, what can I use for sound effects, music, VFX that I can include in my videos? Now, I've got you covered. Don't you worry. I'll show you an example of how sound effects are useful in videos now. Now, some of these, I will be honest, I've not used, but they're kind of good recommendations I've heard through the grapevine, if that makes sense. The first one would be Pixabay. That's best for music. I don't use that personally. I use Epidemic Sound. I'm going to start using Storyblocks for sound effects because yesterday when I was at work, obviously I work for the Mark Marshall channel and got some things in the works, but I was in the same room as Con, who films for the Sidemen. We were sat there and I was editing a video and I didn't know for a sound effect, and I was sat there going, I've been looking on Epidemic Sound for absolutely ages. Do you know a specific sound effect that will be perfect for a specific shot? And he goes, yes I do. Airdropped it to me and I said, where do you get your sound effects from? He said Storyblocks. Now Storyblocks is very good, but it is a paid for platform. I think it was about £45 per month for the pro version, and if you're doing work for other people you're gonna need that version. It's like I pay 35 for Motion Array every month and 15 for Epidemic Sound, but I only really use Epidemic Sound for this channel, sometimes for videos that I do for like Instagram and stuff like that, but I never use Epidemic Sound for business. Next up, Pexels. Now, Pexels is a good stock footage website. Again, I don't use this one, but I've heard that it's quite good. For stock footage, I will use Motion Array or Adobe Stock. They're the best two in my opinion. I did used to use Shutterstock, but because my subscription's going to be running out sometime in September, I think, I just don't really touch it because I don't really want clients' work to then kind of come back to bite them, if that makes sense. Another good one is Freesound. Now, this is for sound effects. As you can imagine, sound effects are absolutely crucial for making videos. I've really started diving into them more as a video editor on YouTube purely because I didn't need them for doing property videos. I only use them sometimes because there would be clips of cars going into the driveway, so you'd kind of want a sound to go over the top of that, but you know, you don't really use sound effects much for property videos. I know that there's probably someone in the comments going to be saying, well, I make property videos and I use sound effects all the time. Fair enough, mate. It was my first editing job. I learned a lot from that, a lot about, you know, different clients, meeting clients' expectations, more that side than exploring sound effects and stuff like that. And whenever sound effects were used, I know that clients didn't really like it because they were like, well, why are we hearing this and not the music? So it was kind of a going half and half with what people wanted. I've written in my notes, show examples of work. You know, I've already shown you that with different examples from the Ride the Limit and Snowfall. They're my two like starting pieces for making videos. Well, it started my production company. Obviously in the intro bit where I went to go and get my lovely Capello's coffee, I know that the front of the shop, that's all sound effects. You know, you've got cars going past, you've got all of this. There's so many different things you can do with it, and they're really important on YouTube just to keep people switched on and interested. Next up is my personal transformation. Now, I'm going to include a video that I made when I was 16, and it's not the best video, but I found it today. It was in my camera roll. I'm sorry for any professional video editors out there. I think only 2 or 3 cuts are to the beat, and when I watch it back, it makes me cringe a little bit. But it was a good bit of work at the time, if that makes sense. But you compare that to Snowfall, which I'll include a snippet of.
Out here, it's not just a sport, it's a way of life. It's the sound of the wind cutting past your ears, the rush of carving fresh lines, and the freedom of leaving the world behind. Every jump, every drop, every turn is a moment to push limits, to write your story in the snow.
You compare those two videos and it's night and day. I mean, Snowfall I was so proud of it for what I did with the limited stock footage that there was. Snowboard footage, like stock footage wise, is not great. And there was a YouTuber who made a snowboard film that I did reach out to, but he never got back to me, which I was really annoyed at because I wanted to use his footage, but I didn't want to rip him off. And lastly, I wanted to talk about the specific skills that every asset and service has provided me. You know, mainly YouTube. That is what I've learned on. If I don't know something when I'm editing these videos, I will turn to different videos. I wouldn't have been able to get to this point in my life without a lot of the YouTube tutorials, especially Peace McKinnon. That man there is the reason I make videos now. I'm not even joking. And at the end of the day, there's only so many people I can shout out in a video. And you might be thinking, well, Jack, this isn't like the vlog type that you usually do. And really, I kind of want to make this channel a mix of sitting down and talking to the camera, and it more of a conversation about what we're doing and what I'm doing currently and working on projects and different things to do with clients and different things to do with video editing, and kind of hoping that if you're thinking about it, if you're starting out, if you're watching YouTube and think, well, I want to do that, you know, I want to be that channel that people go to and go, oh, he can teach me a thing or two, or I can learn something from him. And I feel like I've got that to give, because I was there once. You know, I was that 16-year-old kid, didn't really have GCSEs, wanted to go in the army, got denied, and now I'm here. I've got epilepsy, but that doesn't make me any different. It doesn't mean that I can't do any of this stuff. That is the goal of this channel. And really, if any of the videos that I ever make help you, then let me know in the comments. All I've got to say with that really is the video on this side of the screen is what YouTube thinks you should watch next. Subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.